Subscribers and fans, Iceman here, and I've been thinking some today on how life would be if the MUTO existed. And I'm not gonna lie, as sensitive as this might sound, I find the look of them to be extremely disturbing. I'm rather grossed out by the MUTO, especially the female, and when she has that nasty egg sac dangling from the bottom of her body, it just made me kind of want to throw up. They just look so slimy and unearthly like. But on that topic, I fear that they would very much so be inclined to continually reproduce to the point where they would be a massive hazard toward all humanity. As was referenced in the film, when humanity was afraid that they were going to reproduce and overwhelm them. Especially what would be a factor is their ability to emit an EMP blast, basically rendering all electronic devices useless. As was noted in the film, they had to use old school bombs to try to defeat them, and they even posed a threat toward Godzilla himself. Of course, Godzilla was able to overcome, but this is a hypothetical world where only the MUTO would exist out of all the kaiju, and we would have to put up with them. Say that they came from out of the ground in modern times. I imagine the militaries of the world would try to team together to defeat them, and they would soon come to find that the MUTO is a massive threat to their existence. And the MUTO portrayed great intelligence in the film, especially when they were able to hone in on the main character after taking notice to how he burned up all their eggs. So the MUTO are very intelligent and very observant of their surroundings, and I would go as far as to speculate that if there were an all-out war between humanity and the MUTOs would be able to pick up on this reality, to the point where they would start to seek out humans and destroy them. And say that several males were hatched, they would be able to fly around from different nations and all that, and start picking out humans and destroying all their natural resources that they abide in. And they would ultimately, I fear, bring humanity to the edge of their existence. I imagine the MUTOs would continually reproduce and hatch hundreds of thousands of eggs until much of the surface of the earth was flooded with these mutants. And not too far after they exposed themselves to humankind, they would start emitting their EMP blasts and shut off all trade routes to where economies would collapse, because the foundations on which the economies are established would be totally disrupted with the lack of electronical devices. People would lose connection with one another. They wouldn't be able to talk via cell phone if a MUTO were in range. And the MUTOs get smart enough, they would start emitting these EMP blasts everywhere, to the point where all global communication would be cut out. Even national communication. Folks wouldn't be able to text each other or Snapchat or post things on Twitter and all that shit. So basically it would be an all-out war zone, and humanity would be in big freaking trouble with the economies going down. People would start breaking up into tribes, and they'd start just seeking out their own survival on an individual and on a tribal basis. There will be many civil wars breaking out even in the midst of these kaiju monsters in their existence. So there would be more than one battle type going on here, as tribe of folks would rise against other tribe of folks in the aim of attaining resources for their own survival, while at the same time they would be hunted down by these monstrous kaiju creatures. There would be a lot of nuclear fallout everywhere, as I speculate countries, or some of them anyway, some nations would choose to use their nuclear weapons. And on a global standpoint, nations would be divided on this, as to whether or not they should use their nuclear weapons. But I feel that eventually they would, once the realization is at hand that these MUTOs are seriously going to annihilate the entire human race. I do speculate some of the nations would use their nuclear weapons to try to kill the MUTOs. This would cause a hell of a lot of nuclear fallout, where people in the surrounding regions of the nuclear weapon explosion would be affected by the blasts, and humanity would be perishing by multitudes because of this. I think it would end up coming to a point where there are just sectors of humans scattered throughout the globe who are still in surviving mode, while the majority of humanity has been wiped out. In this case, I wonder if the MUTOs would choose to kill the remaining of the humans. I feared that they would, because the MUTOs portrayed themselves to be extremely intelligent creatures, to where they would know that the one risk that they have in terms of their own survivability is the humans, and that they portray a risk, and they will eventually try to defeat the MUTOs if given the chance, as they did in the past. So I fear the MUTOs would try to eradicate the entire human race. However, being a pretty damn big planet with a lot of hideouts and stuff, I imagine some people would try to take to the Earth. They'd hide underground. They'd go to regions of the world where the MUTOs find less desirable. Antarctica, for example. They'd probably be hiding under the freaking ice masses in little fallout centers, trying to survive, freaked out of these creatures, as they probably should be, because the MUTOs are capable of great destruction. So basically, in this sort of scenario, where the MUTOs overcome the humans, I pity those who would try to hide away and continue on with the human race. They'd probably live in these shelters underground, trying to reproduce, trying to survive still, but it would be pretty damn hopeless with these monsters living above them. And they would be at complete mercy of the MUTOs. So it would be a damn scary state to be in indeed. And a terrifying one at that. What do you guys think? And how do you think the world would be if the MUTOs existed? Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts on the matter. And like this damn video if you haven't yet, for I am the Iceman. More videos to come.